I used to think I was one of the lucky ones. Not in the dramatic sense. Not winning the lottery or discovering some secret to happiness, but in the quiet, subtle way. I had a wife, a house, a job I didn't hate. I had routines that comforted me more than I realized. I had someone to come home to. Her name was Lauren. And for years, I believed she was the best thing that ever happened to me. We met in a coffee shop. Cliché, I know. She was on the phone, pacing near the barista counter, arguing with someone about apartment keys. Her voice was sharp, irritated, and a little bit frantic. I was behind her in line. I remember how she turned abruptly, nearly bumping into me, and muttered, "Sorry. My life's a mess." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because something about her, the chaos, the honesty, felt strangely familiar, like I'd known her in a past life. "I've seen worse," I said. "At least you're wearing matching shoes." She glanced down, then cracked a reluctant smile. It started there. That moment. Nothing special. No movie magic. Just two people in the middle of regular lives, colliding briefly. She gave me her number 2 days later. We met again the next week. Then, again, and again. She told me early on that she didn't do relationships, that she was bad at being loved, that she pushed people away. I thought it was a challenge. I thought I could prove her wrong. Lauren moved into my apartment 8 months after we met. It was supposed to be temporary. She was between leases, and I had space. But she never moved out. Her toothbrush stayed. Her sweaters crept into my closet. Her presence became part of the air I breathed. Living with her was unpredictable. Some days she was warm and affectionate, clinging to me like I was the only steady thing in her world. Other days, she disappeared into silence. Not cold exactly, just unreachable. She never explained those moods. If I asked, she'd shrug. Just tired. Or, "I don't want to talk right now." At first, I gave her space. I figured everyone has bad days. But over time, the silences grew longer. Heavier. They sat between us at dinner, followed us into bed. I proposed during one of her bright phases, a weekend in the mountains, fireplace, cheap red wine, her legs curled over mine on the couch. She said yes instantly, eyes wide like a child offered candy. We made love that night, like nothing could touch us. But the next morning, she was quiet again, distant. She said it was just nerves. I convinced myself that was normal. People get scared. Commitment is heavy. I told myself love was work, and I was willing to work. The wedding was small. She didn't want her father there. I didn't ask why. She didn't wear white. I didn't ask why. She didn't cry during the vows. I didn't ask why. I ignored a lot of things. The first year of marriage was oddly quiet. There were no big fights, no dramatic falling outs, but also no real joy. I thought that was just how adulthood worked. The thrill of newness fading into shared bills and meal plans. Lauren started sleeping on the edge of the bed, not away from me on purpose, just distantly. She said she was too hot, then too tired, then too anxious. One excuse after another. Months passed between the times we were intimate. When I tried to talk about it, she'd sigh. "I'm sorry. I'm just not in that headspace." I told myself it was stress, work, hormones. I even looked up articles online trying to understand. Everything told me to be patient, supportive. So I was. She started staying late at work more often. Some nights she'd come home long after I was in bed. I asked if something was wrong. She said everything was fine, that she needed space, that I was smothering her. So I stepped back. I let her have her space. I did the grocery shopping, the laundry, cooked dinner. I didn't complain. I thought if I just held things together long enough, she'd come back. But it felt like trying to catch water with my hands. The more I tried, the faster it slipped through. Some nights, she wouldn't come home until after midnight. I'd be sitting in the dark living room, pretending to watch something, but really just waiting for the sound of the door. When she walked in, she never looked surprised to see me, just annoyed. "You're still up?" And I'd say, "Yeah, just couldn't sleep." Every part of me wanted to ask the questions boiling in my chest. Where were you? Who were you with? Are you cheating on me? But I didn't, because I already knew the answers. I just didn't want to hear them out loud. I convinced myself this was a phase, that she'd come back around, that if I loved her hard enough, patiently enough, quietly enough, she'd remember why she chose me. I thought love could fix her. I thought love could fix us. I didn't know then that some people don't want to be fixed. Some people want someone to absorb their damage. The beginning of the end didn't come with a bang. It came in whispers, eye rolls, shrugs, 1,000 small withdrawals that I kept pretending were nothing. She stopped wearing her ring, said it got in the way at work. Then she stopped kissing me goodbye, said she was running late. I caught her smiling at her phone one evening, the kind of smile I hadn't seen from her in months, maybe years. I asked what was funny. She turned the screen away and said, "Just something stupid." Her passwords changed. Her laptop now had a lock screen. Her phone was always face down. One Sunday, I found a receipt for a dinner for two at a restaurant I'd never been to. Dated a Thursday night. The night she said she was working late. I stood there holding it like it might explode. When I showed it to her, she barely blinked. I had dinner with a client. "A client?" I asked. She didn't flinch. "Yes." And that was it. No explanation. No effort to elaborate. Just a flat answer in silence. Like daring me to push further. Daring me to accuse her outright so she could flip it back on me. I didn't. I was tired. Tired of digging for scraps of honesty. Tired of being treated like an inconvenience in my own marriage. Tired of feeling like I was living with a stranger who resented me for still caring. She began spending weekends at her sister's. But when I called once to ask what time she'd be home, her sister sounded confused. Said Lauren wasn't there. That was the first time I felt anger. Not confusion. Not heartbreak. Anger. Because I realized something. She wasn't even trying to be careful anymore. That's what broke me. Not the betrayal, but the indifference. She didn't care if I found out. Because in her mind, I didn't matter anymore. I was just the background to her new life, and she hadn't even told me it started without me. The night it all came crashing down wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. Eerily quiet. She was asleep. Or pretending to be. Curled away from me. Like always. Her phone buzzed once, a short vibration. Then silence. I shouldn't have touched it. I know that. But the truth was rotting me from the inside out. And I needed to know. Not to accuse her. Not even to confront her. Just to confirm the thing I already knew. The message preview was from someone named Miles. I didn't recognize the name, but what I saw made my stomach seize. Last night was dangerous. I still taste you. My hand was shaking. My vision blurred. I scrolled up. Dozens of messages. Pictures. Voice notes. This wasn't new. This wasn't some fleeting lapse. This had been going on for a while. A long while. I went back months. maybe even a year. The flirtation, the plans, the excuses, the lies, all of it right there, tucked neatly in a thread she never thought I'd see. She wasn't just sleeping with him. She was confiding in him, telling him things I hadn't heard in years, telling him I was distant, controlling, emotionally cold, that I never understood her, that she felt trapped, that she was afraid of me. Afraid of me. That one hit me hardest. Because if there's one thing I was, it was patient. If there's one thing I tried, it was to give her room to breathe. If there's one thing I never was, it was a threat. I sat in the living room until morning, the phone on the coffee table like it might bite me. She came out around 7, bleary-eyed, robe half-tied. She didn't ask where I'd been. I didn't make a scene, didn't yell, didn't cry. I just said, "How long?" She didn't pretend not to know what I meant. She looked at me like someone caught shoplifting, not remorseful, just irritated they'd been seen. "Does it matter?" she said. And in that moment, I saw her for what she really was. Not the woman I met in the coffee shop. Not the broken soul I thought I could heal. But someone who had never been with me for love. Someone who needed a place to hide from her own mess. And I was convenient. She sat down, crossed her legs, folded her arms. "You were always going to make me the villain, no matter what I did." That sentence cracked something open in me. The rewriting had already begun. In her head, this wasn't betrayal. It was self-defense. She wasn't cheating. She was escaping. I asked if she loved him. She laughed. I don't even know what that means anymore. And that was it. No apology. No guilt. Just resignation. She left the next week, packed her things while I was at work, left her ring on the kitchen counter. And in the end, that was the most honest thing she ever did. The house was quiet after she left. Not peaceful, just hollow. Her side of the closet was empty. Her coffee mug gone. Bathroom drawer cleared out like she'd never existed there. I found a bobby pin in the couch a few days later and stared at it like it was an artifact. Proof she was real. Proof I hadn't imagined the whole thing. At first I thought I'd fall apart, but instead I became methodical. I cleaned, rearranged furniture, donated things, took down our photos, not out of spite, but because the smiles felt like lies now. I couldn't bear to look at myself believing. I deleted her number, blocked her on everything. I didn't want closure. I didn't want explanations. Whatever we'd had, whatever she claimed it was, it died long before I found out about Miles. People asked where she went. Coworkers, mutual friends. I gave vague answers. Things didn't work out. We're taking space. No one pressed. Maybe they saw it coming. Maybe they knew more than I did. Sleep was the worst. The silence in bed. The phantom weight beside me. The scent of her shampoo still on the pillow. I started going for long drives at night. Just to be moving. I'd listen to old songs and wonder if she ever meant a word she said. If she ever really loved me, even for a minute. Eventually I stopped asking. Because the truth is, I don't think she did. I think she loved the idea of being loved, of being rescued, of being seen. And I made that easy. I gave her all the things she said she never had. But it wasn't enough. Because I wasn't a person to her. I was a mirror. And when she started hating herself, she turned that hate on me. I started therapy. Not because I wanted to move on quickly, but because I needed to understand how I let myself disappear inside someone else's chaos. And that's the thing they don't tell you about emotional manipulation. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It makes you question your instincts, doubt your memories, apologize for things you didn't do. I found journal entries she wrote years ago, ones she left behind by accident, pages full of blame. I was too quiet, too predictable, too available. She resented me for making her feel safe, for not being a storm. But I'm not a storm. I'm a man who wanted to be chosen, and I thought she chose me. Now I know she only needed someone to anchor herself to, until she learned how to swim again. And once she did, she let me drown. But I didn't. I'm still here. And every day since she left, I've gotten a little more of myself back. It's strange what you remember. Not the fights, not the silences, not the betrayal, but the tiny moments. Her laugh at a movie I hated, the way she stirred her coffee counterclockwise, the off-key humming when she washed her hair, the ordinary things that meant nothing at the time. Those are the things that haunt you. Not because they were perfect, but because they were real, until they weren't. There's this idea that when someone breaks you, you'll be angry, furious, that you'll throw plates and scream at the stars. But the truth is, I was just quiet, hollow, not numb, just painfully aware of everything. And eventually that awareness turned into clarity. Lauren didn't destroy me. She revealed me to myself. She showed me how easily I ignore my own needs, how far I'll go to avoid conflict, how deeply I crave connection, even at the cost of my self-worth. She wasn't my lesson. I was. I don't hate her. I don't wish her pain. I don't check her social media or ask about her through mutual friends. Whatever life she's living now, it's not mine to carry anymore. People say you need closure, but I don't think that's true. Sometimes closure is just the absence of further damage. Sometimes healing starts the moment you stop letting someone re-injure you. And now, I cook dinner for one. I sleep diagonally in bed. I talk to my therapist once a week. I read more. I walk more. I even laugh. Not because life is perfect, but because I finally feel present in it again. I'm not healed, but I'm healing. And maybe that's all we can ask for. Because some people don't want love. They want someone to blame, someone to bleed on, someone to carry their brokenness like a badge. And for a while, I was that person. But not anymore. Now, I'm just a man who survived it, and who knows better next time what love should never feel like.